Hi, I'm Farina, and you're watching RBTV, People in Perspective. I'm here with my guest, Ron Onesti from the Arcada Theatre.
Good morning, Louis.
Good morning. So, how long have you been in the business for now?
About 1,000,000 years. It's the way it feels. I've been doing it about 30 years. I've been doing it since high school.
Oh, wow, that's quite a long time.
Well, I guess that makes me old.
So, how did you end up purchasing the Arcada Theatre?
Well, you know, I was booking some acts. I was booking I was managing a Beatles tribute act by the name of American English, pretty popular out here, and we used to play that theater. And then I tried booking it, and I wasn't getting my booking the band back there, and I wasn't getting my calls returned. And I finally went out there to see what was going on, and I found that they were going to turn it into, they weren't going to knock it down, but they're going to gut out the whole inside, and they're going to turn it into doctors' offices and lawyers' offices. And I said, wow, what a waste that would be. So I started throwing offers out there, and before I knew it, I had it.
Wow. So, what was your early career like?
Well, I started, you know, basically in high school, kind of like what you guys are doing. I was that guy, the student council guy, the prom committee chairman, the homecoming, all that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed putting on the events. I actually wanted to be a chemist, either a chemist or a baseball player. But my guidance counselor had this, had the meeting with me and said, "What would you like to do with your life?" And I said, "I'd like to be a chemist." And she said, "Well, I didn't ask you what you want to be when you grow up. What would you like to do with your life?" And it was homecoming at the time. And I was printing tickets, and I was hiring a band, I was decorating the gym. I said, "I kind of like this." She said, "People do that for a living." And I started doing other events, and it kind of just all happened.
Mm-hmm. So, did you go to college at all?
I did. I went to DePaul University, and with a major in marketing. And even that, I went through the whole college program, but I had businesses since I was about 15, 16 years old, my own businesses. So while I was going to DePaul, for example, in downtown Chicago, I opened up a little bit of a little donut shop right on State Street Mall, because I was there. I'd have a class like at 8 in the morning, and then another class at 3 o'clock. I had all this extra time. So I said, I got to do something with my time down here. Just, we didn't have Starbucks back then or places to sit around.
Right.
So I opened up this little donut shop, and I got to meet all the news people, because my donut shop was right in front of WLS TV, in front of their building. So I got to meet all the on-air personalities, and I got a little bit of a bug for communications and marketing, and the rest is history.
Oh, cool. So how big would you say the Arcada Theatre is in length?
In length? Well, it seats 900 people. And it's interesting because it was opened in 1926, and it was one of those vaudeville, those old school theaters. It's our 90th anniversary, and we're looking on expanding it a little bit, but it's actually a very intimate experience. It's got 2 floors. And you got the balcony of about 350 people, and you've got the downstairs, with about 450 and or 550 rather, and it's the stage is about 30 or 40 feet rather wide, and it's actually it's a standard vaudeville 1920s kind of a theater.
Mm-hmm. So where in relation to the school is the Arcada Theatre located at?
Your school here? Mm-hmm. It's probably be about 30 minutes. If you go up to North Avenue, if you take this North Avenue, which is right off of First Avenue, let's say, and you go straight west about 40 minutes, it's right there.
Mm. So tell us about what kind of performances you have at the Arcada Theatre.
Well, the cool thing about owning your own place is that the performances I have are just the stuff. It's just the things that I like. It just so happens that I've touched an era of people who like the music, 60s, 70s, 80s, a little bit of 90s. You got gentlemen such as how old are you?
I am 18.
You are 18, and you come by the theater all the time with your dad, and there's guys, and there's 12-year-olds with, they come with Led Zeppelin t-shirts, and there's something about classic rock. I got the Cheap Trick thing sporting today, and I just love the music, and it's the stuff that I love, like I said, the classic rock, but I like all kinds of music. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's pretty popular, because no matter what music that comes out today, and I'm a fan of music today too, certain things anyway, but there's something to be said about the power of classic rock, of those oldies, of those legends. Like we just lost Don Rickles, for example, yesterday, a legendary performer. He was by me a couple times. We had Joan Rivers, who was another legendary comedian. Her last show was by me. But then we'll have like Bret Michaels of Poison, and we'll have Vince Neil, Motley Crue, but then we'll have Saliva and Fuel, and then we'll have, old school like Neil Sedaka and Wayne Newton. So the variety is really, really important.
Mm-hmm. So who would be your favorite performer you've had at the Arcada Theatre?
It's interesting. I get that question asked all the time, and my favorite performer is pretty much the last one I saw there, because the place is so classic and it really brings out a certain level. Like we had Anthrax, which is it's one of the 4 heaviest metal bands in history with Metallica and so forth. And they were just by us last week, and they love the intimacy of the theater, and it brought out a presentation or a production level, a show from them that they rarely do, because they're normally performing at these big arenas and they're just screaming at people. They didn't even see the faces, but by us they can see the audience's faces.
Right.
They could touch the audience, and that's why it's amazing to perform. And so my favorite performance, I loved Anthrax this week. We just had Lee Rocker from the Stray Cats, Mickey Dolenz and the Monkees. I mean, it's all amazing.
So, what would be your favorite band or singer of all time? Of all time?
Boy, oh boy, you're killing me here, Louis. Because again, it depends on my mood. I mean, if I'm hanging out on a weekend night, it might be Frank Sinatra, being the Italian that I am. But then I might be jamming out one night, and I love the classic rock of America, the Doobie Brothers. The other night, I was jamming to some R&B with Earth, Wind and Fire and Kool and the Gang. So it's a really hard question. Again, it depends on my mood, and typically my favorite is, for the most part, whatever I'm listening to at the time.
Right. So if these kids were to come to the Arcada Theater, what show do you think they would like the best?
Well, it depends on the kind of person they are. If they're a person, like I get asked all the time, well, you're from Chicago, from people from out of town. Well, are you a Cubs fan or a Sox fan? I say, I'm a baseball fan. I love to go to the park and enjoy the experience of baseball. I'm a huge fan of that. Same thing, if you're a heavy metal rocker, then you're gonna like Y&T and Queensryche and all those type of bands. But if you love music, then you will find something there. You'll find, like you, for example, you come to different types of music with your dad, and you'll find that there's so many things to love about the experience. Don't forget, this isn't like going and sitting in front of a big radio. You're going to a live music experience, and that adds so much to the appreciation of music. So you may not be, for example, a fan of let's say, Foreigner, but when you come to the theater and you experience the lights and their stage presence and the interaction, you become a fan.
Right.
So that's the big difference about live music versus just playing something on your iPod.
So what do you do on your off time when you're not promoting?
Well, you're suggesting that I have off time, which is interesting, because what I do, I eat, drink, and sleep what I do. I mean, if I'm watching TV, I'm very much into food and beverage element of my business as well. So I'm not just watching any TV shows, I'm watching Bar Rescue or the Food Channel, or I'm watching MTV, or I'm watching any behind the music type of things. But I spend as much time as I can with my family. Always make sure that's most important, is to spend time with your family and make sure you never forget where you came from. But with their support, I'm allowed to do things that I travel tremendously. But again, it's all about my business. It's all about being the best you can be. If you want to be successful in whatever it is, you want to be a plumber, you want to be a carpenter, you want to be a novelist, you eat, drink, and sleep that profession. You find out everything you can about it. You find out the good things. More importantly, you find the bad things out, so you're prepared for it, and you understand it. When those challenging things come to you, you're ready for it. You understand the possibility of the downsides of an industry. And that's why I've been, if you want to call it successful, because I eat, drink, and sleep my profession.
I'm Louis Farina, and that's all for People in Perspective. I just want to thank Ron for coming on the show. See you next time.
You're awesome.